Well, it looks like we're live. It looks like we've got a ton of people in the chat already. And guys, welcome to the CarrGuy and SixFan show, which is the only live stream on tonight that is coronavirus safe. I probably shouldn't even say that. I might get demonetized. But anyways, we're going to wait a few minutes before we jump right into the show and let some people join in. If you're just tuning in, don't forget to share this live stream out on your social medias and let everybody know. So I'm Jason. I am the CarrGuy half of this show, and sitting right next to me here is
Straight SixFan or Grant Tommy. My channel I like to focus on budget-minded, relatable, creative builds. Something I like to call offbeat hot running. Welcome in, everybody. As Jason mentioned, we do appreciate it when you do take a moment to right-click at the little arrow and click the share button, put it on your social media, because the more people we get in here, the better it is for everybody's opportunity to grow.
That's right. So as we go along with the night, you're going to see a lot of names pop up in the chat. We usually have anywhere from 20 to sometimes 30 people that come in and out. Go in and check out their channel, see if it's something you like, because we do like to classify ourselves as somewhat of a support stream. So these guys are in here looking for your support as well. And tonight we've got a really good show. If you go back to about a month ago, we did, maybe it was over a month ago, we did the whole Camaro and Firebird comparison. This time we have stepped it up a little bit and we are talking about trucks. So we're going to try and do 5 decades and 5 generations of pickup trucks featuring the big 3, Dodge, Ford, and Chevy. And you guys are going to vote to tell me and Grant which one you think sits on top based on a couple of small categories that we've got picked out here. And we'll bring those up on the stream. Grant, do you have anything that you want to add? Invite some people in or see who's in the chat?
Well, yeah, I just, while you're bringing that up, the rules for tonight's engagement, did want to say welcome to everybody in the chat. And as we typically do, we try to like to take notice of that. So Lucky 7 Mud Mowers, I know you were in a long time waiting for us to get going. King Eric the Great, the First, Will's Wheels, GMC Texas, or TX, Chris Dirty Trucker 08, Custom Wheel Horse Tractor, Eric 83. That's a mouthful, but I believe this is a first time for you. So welcome. Thank you for joining us. Renee LePage, America Bumper to Bumper, Kip, our buddy there. Go Karts or Gone Fishing. Love seeing you in here as well. So I know this is a good group of kind of small engine folks from the mud mower and go-kart scene. Eford Garage. And I think if I've missed anybody, Art Cricket. Of course, I think I've caught most everybody. So thank you and welcome.
Yeah, and just at the last minute there, Stupid Fast Truck has joined in, as well as Rust Belt Mechanic. So guys, thanks for jumping on to this live stream. Like I said, it's going to be another fun one where you guys get to vote on what your favorite truck of a certain decade is. And I've got a little piece of cardboard with some 10 scratch on it. We're going to tally up at the end and see which of the big 3 trucks is the ultimate winner in this, what we're classifying as a truck battle. So like we said, if you haven't yet, go ahead and hit that share button, give us a thumbs up, and we're going to jump right in to the first decade of trucks, which I've classed as the 1970s. So as soon as I get my screen share up, we'll start talking.
And to be clear, correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, but when you say decades, for this exercise, we are picking the model year right on the decade.
Absolutely, because we do know that a lot of trucks changed generations mid-decade. So basically what I've done is we're going to start off with the 1970s and then the 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, and the current year. But we're going to go with that particular model year truck. So we're going to start off with 1970. And as I bring that up, you guys are going to see that we've got 3 of the most beautiful trucks ever created in 1970. Some are going to disagree, but right off the bat, I want you guys to, in the chat, tell me which of these 3 trucks you think pulled off the beauty aspect of what they built. So just go ahead, put it in the chat, tell me which one you think is the best looking truck. I'm going to tally that up, and as we go through, we'll find out at the end of the show which manufacturer was the best looking truck? Grant, what do you think?
I know you shared a little bit of these images with me earlier, and I don't, off the top of my head, remember all of them, but I suspect this is going to be the toughest one for me. Like, these all look great. I mean, for whatever reason, I've become a big Dodge Sweepline fan in the recent, I don't know, half year maybe. I don't know why I love those. I mean, they all have single headlights. Grille proportions very similar between all three makes. I mean, I guess if I have to split hairs, I'm a Ford guy, so I guess I will. I guess I'll go Ford in this one, just because it's like, I mean, I would take all three of these. I mean,
and I'm with you there. I certainly wouldn't turn any of them down. I'm just looking at the chat here, and somebody who I think is new to the chat, Finger Sled Dave, says I'm a Dodge guy, but for that year, the Chevy. So I know that a lot of people will have allegiances to where they think their favorite truck is going to be. You guys all know that I'm a big square body fan. There's no square bodies in this particular category because we're starting with the year 1970. So you'll know where I'm going in the 80s. But again, in this truck, if I had to pick any one of them, surprisingly, I'm likely going to go with the Ford, just because the one that's pictured here is a shorty. It does have that slight two-tone on it, and I'm all for Band-Aid beige and hearing aid colors on vehicles. So,
well, and I would say out of all of these, though, if you're talking about from an investment standpoint, I mean, hands down, there's no doubt the Chevy's the best, like most sought after of these. Like, if you wanted to get into it and thinking you had to give it up someday, the one you're gonna get your most money back on, it's got to be the Chevy.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you're probably spot on that. And as we go through the chat, Chevy is popping up all over the place, and I think that we're going to probably have to give the 70s vote to the Chevy. So as we move on, we are going to jump into the 80s, and you guys are going to know exactly where I stand when it comes to the 80s. Because obviously I own a square body. So right off the bat, I'm telling you guys my vote's with the square body. So you guys go ahead in the chat and tell me for the 1980s, which design you think pulled it off the best, or which one is your favorite. Anything in there that you like on that one, Grant?
Well, even though I am the resident Ford guy, I can easily move away from the bullnose Ford. This has never been a body style. Although I've grown to like it more in the recent years than what I once did. This is still, out of all Ford generations, the one I probably like the least. So I can easily move those aside. I mean, the Dodge Power Wagon, kind of look, that generation. I think that's a different headlight configuration than the Power Wagon, but this is one's tough for me, not just because generally, and I've come to like that era of square body more as I've gotten older. I used to like the stacked headlights much better, but I think I have to go with the square body.
You can conform for once.
I think I do.
Yeah, and again, we're going through the chat, and Herman Lomez says Grant is going to say Ford. Obviously, you didn't. And one of the neat things, and if you guys kind of know your generations of Ford truck or not, when Ford changed to this bullnose style, and I believe it was, I believe 1980 was the first year for that, they did not change the overall platform of that truck. Yes, they looked different. They did not change that until 97 when they came out with the new body style. So although cosmetically a few things changed, ultimately the same basic truck for several years, so for 16 years.
Body swap, fender swap all day long on those.
Yeah, for sure.
96.
And I guess once again, just by going from the chat, everybody seems to be right on board with the Chevy one more time. So what we're going to do is we are going to jump right into the 1990s, and this one might tell a little bit of a different story, and you guys will see why. So let's switch over here to the 90s, and little bit of a different story here. Granted, we do have the Ford and the Dodge looking a little bit different. Chevy completely ran away and went with this, what we now call the OBS. And I chose that particular truck again, just simply because, you know, it's retail red, it's shiny, it's kind of got that SS style look to it. Dodge, well, still looks the same as the 1980. And the 19s, well, I guess 70s, they changed a little bit later. But anyways, again, guys, go ahead in the chat and tell us which one you think pulled it off the best out of these three. Grant, where you lying on this one?
Yeah, this body style of Ford still is maybe just a hair above my the bullnose ones. If it was the 92 to 96 style, I mean, I would pick that over everything because that was my first my first vehicle. So it was gonna be a hard one. Yeah, I mean, I think the Chevy's the best looking one. I would, if it came down to which one would I build, I'd probably go with the Dodge. I mean, those first gen Cummins, if it was a 3/4 ton, I'd probably pick Dodge. But for the sake of picking one for this exercise, we'll go with the Chevy.
Yeah. Again, you know, my first truck that I ever had was an '83 Dodge Ram, which obviously was the same style, had the same crosshair grille, same headlights. Mine was a single cab with the step side, and it was 2-wheel drive. I am partial to that original body style Dodge, and what they classify as the first gen. But at the end of the day, it's a tough call for me because my first truck was a Dodge. And just because everybody else is looking at the Chevys, and the Chevys have taken the first two categories, I'm going Dodge on this one.
Yeah, I mean, if it's up to what I would build out of all these, it would be the Dodge. I'd build the Dodge, but I mean, if you're asking me basically from a designer's perspective, I mean, it's the Chevy all the way.
Yeah, and looking through the chat on this one here, yes, there's some Chevys in there, but you know, Lucky Seven says Dodge. We got Chris Dirty Trucker says Cummins, and we've also got Art Cricket says Dodge. But the Ford brings back a lot of memories for him, and I think that, you know, we're coming into the generation of truck that I grew up in my teens. So, you know, knowing that you know, I've driven all of these trucks. I've never owned. I did own a '94 once upon a time.
Really?
Yep. It was an extended cab, 2-wheel drive with a 5-liter. Yeah.
I mean, I used to be a member of the forum called, what was it called? I don't mean, old pre playground, because before OBS was a big wide use term, pre 97, like in the early 2000s, there was like having a 95 F-150. It was a forum dedicated to pre 97 Ford trucks. And I've seen some really awesome, like, of this body style Ford, like lifted and lowered versions. But from a stock perspective, like I said, barely eclipsed by the bullnose Ford as to not my favorite body style. But I have seen some really cool custom versions, both lifted and lowered, in that body style.
And believe it or not, for the 1990s, Dodge does take this category based on what everyone's saying in the chat. So Herman Lomez and Kip, both very surprised that I chose Dodge, to the point where Herman Lomez called me Judas.
Yeah, I saw that earlier. Yeah, that was I smirked earlier when in Snydertron 3000. So Josh, he's speaking to my heart. So obviously, if you guys didn't know, if you're new to the chat, Straight SixFan is based. It was born, that screen name was a high school email account for me, which I still have to this day, based off of my first truck, a 1995 Ford F-150 with the 300 inline six. So I would love to see, I would watch every minute of every video you would post up about doing a 300 turbo 6 build, just so you know.
Well, hey, maybe the next build on the Straight SixFan channel.
Maybe.
Who knows? All right, so the votes are in. We're calling this one Dodge. So we are going to move on to the Millennium, the 2000 body style on these trucks. Okay, this one here is likely going to surprise all of us because all three are new generations based on that little bit of a generation gap. So the Dodge came out in 94, the Chevy came out in 99, and the Ford came out in 97, I believe, although that looks like a 98 model being shown. So we're into the 2000 model year. You guys, again, in the chat, let us know which of these three body styles. I know where my heart is on this one, and it will surprise probably a lot of you guys. So go ahead in the chat, tell us which one of the 2000s you guys think is your favorite truck. Grant, where are you at?
This one's another tough one for me, not because it's just because generally I don't have a good, strong feeling towards any of them.
I don't know what happened to my screen.
Yeah, we lost the screen share. I think like the 97 was great when it first came out. Like I kind of liked the new style update, but then it quickly for me, for the Ford, became like just blasé. So I have a cousin of mine. He has this saying that the 90s became the Ford Contour decade, where every automobile looked like a Ford Contour. And as the more I thought about it, I was like, man, he's kind of right. Like everything kind of has this like this arrow nose bubble headlight kind of thing, and that's what the 97 F-150 became for me. So I'm gonna rule that one out. The Chevy, I like that body style. It's classic. I like that much more better than the Cat Eye generation. But I think just from a proportion standpoint, the cleanest one for me is actually the Dodge. Like that's me being offbeat. Like I think I'm gonna do the Dodge if it comes down to it.
So yeah, again, I'm gonna have to go with the Dodge as well. I see Jeff Muir, who is a local fella here where I am. I just sold Jeff, or I didn't. We just sold Jeff a car. He owned a shorty Dodge Ram back in the day, and Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was a manual transmission as well. But Dodge took a huge gamble going from almost 20 years of the same style truck to this one in 94, or it came out in 93, that everyone compared it to a transport truck or a Mack truck or whatever you want to call it. They took a huge gamble and it paid huge dividends. In my opinion, style-wise, in this particular generation, Dodge wins it hands down. It's too bad that it took this generation forward for Dodge to mess it up and start creating a lot of junk. Why? And I'll tell you why, because they started making these trucks in Mexico, and I believe that's where quality paid the price.
So there's kind of a mixed bag. It looks like you got to spitball here. It looks like Chevy's probably going to take it away, but
I think so.
It does feel like it might be closer than most. Yeah, and everybody is talking about this generation, like the mechanical durability of this generation was certainly lacking. And I know our I don't know how much you laugh about this, but our buddy Sean definitely, I know, has a number of videos dealing with the mechanical issues of this generation.
Yeah, and once again, Herm, I'm starting to get my one feeling hurt there. So on the third time, Judas just might appear in the chat there. So just because I'm the host and I've got control of the scoreboard, I'm calling this one for Dodge. And the reason for that is because we've only got two more generations to go. We got two Chevys and two Dodges, and I'd hate to see one of them just walk away with it. So as we jump back to our generational look at these trucks, so far Chevy has taken the 70s and 80s. Dodge we've called for the 90s and the new millennium. So we're going to jump into the 2010 model, and again in the chat, jump in there and tell me which one you guys think pulled it off the best. And again, we're looking at three brand new generations of each truck.
And yeah, and keep in mind, for those of you who's joined midstream, so what we are doing, we are voting by decade, but we are picking the model year spot on, right on the decade. So knowing that everybody updates their generations kind of midstream and it kind of varies from decade to decade. So for instance, what you see on the screen right now is the 2010s is what we're saying, but we're picking the 2010 exact model year to do this.
Right. Yeah, and in this particular case, we listen to me, English, Jason.
Bugatti,
Yeah.
Peugeot.
Yeah. So we do have
I'm actually out.
3 crew cab trucks. They are all 4-wheel drives and somewhat current generation. As what when they changed over, they really took another drastic change. Dodge keeping with a little bit of a wide fender, Chevy kind of keeping with the round look and the square fenders, and Ford completely changing things with that new look in the headlight and grille. What are you thinking on this one, Grant? To me, this is a little bit tougher choice because I think style-wise, they've all come through style-wise.
So this one's actually easy for me, and it's hands down Ford. I've always liked this generation of Ford, and I like what Dodge did to update to this body style from the one that you guys haven't seen, which was not the 2000, was like the 2002. Even though I actually like that Dodge style, like when they first came out, those grills, like the proportions changed from, the 90s trucks, like the grills just got like that big, like a bulldozer front. This Dodge seems more refined, but I'm going Ford all day on this one.
Well, I gotta make sure that I'm standing within throwing distance of Herman Lomez because I'm not going with Chevy on this one either. But I'm not going with Dodge, and I'll tell you why. Is because last year when we got our new shop truck, it's a 2011 Ford with the Coyote. And I have never in my life driven a truck as tight as this one, with as much get up and go for just a standard XLT truck. And with the towing, because obviously when I bought Dale, I towed it home from New York with that truck, with absolutely no hesitation. It didn't overwork itself. It just seemed to be a really good working truck and comfortable to drive. I am going with a Ford for the 2010 model generation. Yes, Herman, I know. I'm sorry.
I do like the emote icons there from Herman.
Yeah. But again, looking through, and even Jeff's giving me crap. So looking through the chat here, look great. Somebody say, Lucky Seven says Ford stink. Well, that's putting it politely.
That's just jealousy speaking.
Yeah, maybe. But I'm looking through here and I'm seeing a lot more Dodge, unfortunately, than I am anybody else. But it's looking to me that Dodge has the win on this generation based on my count. So it looks like we might be into a situation where Dodge has 3 wins over the generations. We've got 1 more to go to see if maybe Ford can pull this one off with a win, or maybe Chevy to put a tiebreaker on it. So let's jump into the final generation of trucks, which is the current model year 2020. And once again, I think all 3 have taken some big leaps. Well, not so much the Ford, because Ford didn't change a whole lot, but they're taking some leaps and bounds in jumping into some different styling cues. Dodge is looking pretty sexy over there. Chevy went out bold with the real funky looking grille there. I think that when it comes to the fenders and going with the rounded fenders on the Chevy, that seemed to piss a lot of diehards off, getting away from those square fenders. Where's your mind at on this generation, Grant? I know you're kind of partial to the Fords, but
yeah, this is gonna be very similar to the 2010s. I mean, that Chevy grill feature thing, whatever, goes down in the bumper, frowny face, whatever. Blah. So that one's for sure out. Dodge did a great job refining things. So it's between the Ford and the Dodge, but I think, I don't know, there's something with Dodge, I think they're smart in doing so. Like, truck sales are way up, just across the board. And I think they did the best. They catered to the crowd that, like, you don't really need to buy a truck in the first place. So they made sure it rode the best, with the rear coil link suspension, and like styling wise, I think a very refined truck. I think you said it best. It's looking very sexy over there, but I'm going to go Ford if it's between those two.
Well, and Kip can probably, if he's still in the chat. So Kip can attest to the quality of ride and the power that the actual 2019 Ram, because when we went down to Pennsylvania, we got to drive in Hammerdown Motorsports Ram, Laramie at the time, and I tell you, power-wise, I've never driven the new Chevy, so I don't know, but power-wise, man, what a monster that truck was. And all the creature comforts, because it was a Laramie, it was all decked out. Really, really nice truck, really nice riding truck. Style-wise, Herman, you're going to be pleasantly surprised. I do like the odd look of the Chevy. I more so like the GMC trucks than the Chevys, but I've got to go with Chevy on this one.
And we did, like, for my job, we had a Ram rental one time in the past year, and it was a Rebel package. That interior is something else on the Rebel. Like, I was kind of blown away by how well put together that was.
And Dave McGraw, I see you're talking about how much you like the Ram. So I'm going to put you down for a Ram. And we got some other people in there talking.
Speaking of Dave McGraw, I did want to correct him. He said, for the first time, Ram surpassed the Chevy for first in sales. Halfway correct. For the first time, Ram surpassed the Chevy for second in sales behind the Ford. Just wanted to clear that up.
Yeah. So. And again, this is something that I've always wanted to bring up in a show, and since how we're talking about trucks, maybe this is the proper point. Ford will always and forever outsell Chevy and Dodge for the simple fact, because when they advertise it as F Series, not as the Ford F-150. F Series classifies every truck built from light duty to medium duty trucks up to the the F900. So when you say F Series, you're not just incorporating the half, 3/4, and 1-ton trucks. You're going all the way up into cabin chassis trucks that are still classified as F Series. Of course, F Series will outsell if you call everything an F Series Ford. Come on.
Yeah, but Chevy and Ram also include, the heavy duties and stuff with their sales too. So it's I've seen that, I've heard both of that, but I've seen that debunked as well. So
yeah, and
it's like whatever. Yeah, it's marketing. Everybody's going to market it a different way. So whatever. It's the most popular truck. So, more people buy Fords than anything else. Like, slice it any way you want. More people buy Fords than anything else. So
yeah, no, and they do. And like I said, there's are they any better of a truck than Ford or Chevy?
Well, and also, like, even though I'm the resident Ford guy, like, all things must come to an end. It's not gonna last forever. Like, there will be a year where that doesn't happen. And obviously the economic state of Ford Motors right now would probably tell me that's coming very quickly, so, like, whatever, like, it is what it is. Like, I don't really care at the end of the day. Like,
yeah, well, what was that electric truck that we did a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, the Badger.
So I predict right now that the Badger or trucks like it are really going to start kind of stepping on the toes of some of these guys when people realize you're going to get the torquiest monster on the road at a similarly priced vehicle, well equipped, that's electric.
Yeah.
So I guess as we kind of go down through the list, this last one it has been tough because the chat's been all over the place. So before we kind of finish up here, we're pretty well done the show. We kind of didn't follow the regular genre of what we normally do, but one more time, guys, just go ahead in the chat while we're talking here and put Ford, Chevy, or Dodge on this one.
And we did have some good comments roll in from the chat. So first, Craving Carr says, I have news on a new Ram that's coming out with a Hellcat engine in it. That's a game changer. Absolutely. then Jesse Williams asks, what do you guys think of the 2021 Bronco? And I will be the first to admit, like, I can't wait for the Bronco to come out, but I've seen so many concepts floated that I've become numb to it that I don't really even care to try to keep up because I don't know what, like, I'm just going to wait for it to come out. So I don't even know what you're talking about with the 20. I don't know what version you're talking about because I've seen so many different concepts and so many different, like, spy shots that I literally have no opinion on the 2021 Bronco right now.
7.
And
Wow.
Jason is counting up our kind of tallies here. So anyway, since we didn't follow the normal kind of show format, if you guys want to throw out questions our way, we do have about 5 minutes left to address those. And in the meantime, I do know that the co-host duty typically is to talk about channel struggles or growth hacks. And I wanted to take the moment to kind of throw in, I think for me, this is piggybacking on if you guys have been watching all of season 3 here on the CarrGuy SixFan show, is the when we had Pusa Studios on and they talked about what they saw for 2020 as a big trend is how it's more and more important to niche down. And I did want to piggyback on that and say, I think one of the most important things you can do for yourself is to think long and hard about who your target audience is. Yes, we all make car content. Yes, most of us here work on cars on top of that. But if that's who you think your target audience is, you got to drill a little deeper. And so I just wanted to kind of throw that out and let you guys all think, like, because if you think the guy who's working on a Porsche 911 in his garage is really going to care about me working on a 1978 Ford Fairmont, well, you've got it all wrong. So think long and hard about who the person you're trying to reach is, and that's going to help you produce better directed content. Sorry, Jason, I kind of blabbed on for a while there.
No, that's no problem. I'm just I'm having one heck of a laugh at a conversation going on there. And Shane from Winnipeg Car Life says, replying to Herman Lomez, that a Hyundai Pony looks better than the new Blazer. Oh, shoot. I haven't heard Hyundai Pony in probably 30 years. Anyways, so just to get back to the show real quick before we do end this one out, guys. Before the show ends, if you're in the chat now and you haven't hit that thumbs up button, please go ahead and do so. The biggest reason why we keep pressing on that is because when you guys give the thumbs up on any video, not just mine or Grant's, it tells YouTube that we're doing a good job. So it will help YouTube, hopefully at some point, recommend our show or our videos to somebody else. So as we get back to the tally, round 1 went to Chevy, round 2 went to Chevy, but round 3, 4, and 5 went to Dodge. Ford got the last one. So it looks like in this battle of trucks, Dodge came out on top, winning 3 out of the 6 decades of trucks. I hope you guys are pleased with the results. Maybe you are, maybe you're not. Obviously, the Dodge guys in the chat are feeling pretty good about themselves. But before we go ahead and we close this out, I want to thank everybody for being a part. We had a pretty good crowd in here tonight. I think it reached up over 30 there at one point. And I want to let you know that by being with us tonight, you kept yourself safe. No diseases were caught as a result.
Unless some of you guys are in like a Starbucks watching us, shame on you for being in public with other people. You could have gone to your mom's basement and joined us on this live stream.
Yeah, so having said all that, as of right now, the 25 of you that are left in the chat are now quarantined for 2 weeks to go out and watch every video from the CarrGuy SixFan show.
Yes.
And make sure you comment that you've done so.
Let those playlists roll. Jason, why don't I had one comment that I thought was funny where Garage Built said he was kind of responding to the Blazer conversation. The new Blazer is a minivan. But before we close this out, why don't you give a quick channel update of what to expect on CarrGuy, on the CarrGuy, old CarrGuy channel?
So on Saturday's upload, I got a quick update on Grandma for you guys. So it's going to be something that you're not going to want to miss on that episode. We're talking about Grandma. I still don't have my engine back yet from the machine shop. I'm starting to get impatient. It might have a very strongly worded conversation with them tomorrow. Grant, what about you? What do you got coming up?
So I actually have a lot of content like cooking. So if you guys follow me on social media, last Friday, I went in on a campus visit to McPherson College here in McPherson, Kansas, the state in which I live, which has the only 4-year bachelor's degree for automotive restoration in the country. And so I'm kind of putting together a video of my campus visit. It's a little bit longer than format than I like, but I'm kind of communicating back and forth with the college to kind of get some details right, because I want this to be a good promotional video for them as much as something you guys would enjoy. So I don't know exactly when it's going to come out, because I've been spending a lot of time editing that one. I also have a new channel trailer that I kind of want to release after the McPherson video. And then tomorrow, Eric Riggs of Riggs Garage here on YouTube is coming over to help me. We have a new master cylinder for Project Low Fairmont, and we're going to install. I've got the new lines in, and I think we're just going to start over from scratch and rebleed that thing, and hopefully we finally get brakes on Project Low Fairmont.
Yeah, well, that'll be good to get that done, and that way you can kind of start driving that. I'm sure that the weather is coming really quick for you guys, being a little bit south of us. I know that here it's getting better. Craving Cars, right quick. He says, "What's up with Matty Hapoya?" Right. You guys know that we did the solo B-roll challenge there a few weeks ago. We released them on the 23rd of February, and we had hoped that we would get some recognition from the fellow that we were tagging. And it's been a few weeks now, and absolutely nothing. He's posted on several formats, and I've commented about the solo B-roll on every single one of them. And in fact, I even sent him off an email tonight, very politely asking, what's up? Have you seen it? Could you please take a look and see what's going on? So I have no clue. I don't want to say that effort was wasted, because obviously we did learn a lot. We honed our skills a little bit. Every single one of us that participated in that. So I'm pretty happy with that.
And real quick, I want to respond to a comment as well. Chris Dirty Trucker 08 says, Grant, every video should be as long as it needs to be. At face value, I agree exactly with that statement. However, if you study your analytics, everything historically for me I've studied tells me my videos want to be in the 6 to 12 minute range. I think this video, the campus visit, is going to be just fine at the rate at which it is, which is going to be close to 21, 22 minutes. And I have no problem posting that video. I'm just saying that my informed history data tells me 6 to 12 minutes is my sweet spot. So.
And I think as you look through a lot of the big names in YouTube, the big creators, they're going to have their perfect video time is going to vary between them as well. Mm-hmm. It's about your content. It's about what you're putting in those minutes. If you've got 8 minutes and all it is talking over and over and over again about the same thing, you're not doing yourself any favors. If it's 8 minutes of great information, you're keeping your audience intrigued and they're staying and they're watching it longer, then you're doing it right. The trick is to know how long for what content and make it satisfy the YouTube algorithm so that people actually see it. You got to get them to watch it first. And
the other thing I think, and this is, Jason and I are going over time, but I think this is a great conversation to keep rolling with. This is a good example of the CarrGuy and SixFan show is always meant to be about 35 minutes, but if the conversation's good, keep going. Do I want to think that I'm top level Hollywood entertainment? Yes, I do want to think that, but the reality of it is I'm not skilled enough to be entertaining for that length of period. Right. So I'm trying to always get better at it. And I always think, car shows like the ones we see, like they're either in a half-hour time slot or 1 hour. And then when you add in commercials, the half-hour shows are more like 22 minutes and the hour shows are more like 46 minutes or 48 minutes. And so, honestly, I know I can't pull off doing a 1 hour show. It's just not, people aren't going to be interested in the traps I fall into as a creator aren't conducive to those. And I firmly believe that. I'm not trying to sit here and tell you guys as an audience what the ideal time is. I'm telling you what I've found over time, what an ideal time is for me. So
on that, we're going to end it Guys, thanks once again for being a part of the CarrGuy and SixFan show. Had a lot of fun. I don't know why. I still have the screen share still up there. We've had a lot of fun with this, and I think that you guys have proven to us already that out of the 2 episodes that we've done with this whole voting thing, first with the Camaro and Firebird, now with the trucks, is proven to be a great content for the CarrGuy and SixFan show, and I'm sure that we'll do it more with different things in the future. So on that note, I'm going to say goodbye and thank you guys once again, and I'm going to let Grant close out the show.
Yeah, thanks everybody for joining us on yet another episode of the CarrGuy and SixFan show here for season 3. That's going to do it for this week's episode, and until next time, peace out.